at a youth group. When I was in high school, my senior year, I spoke at youth for the first time. And now back then we were in the big gym, and I had this like headset thing on. Now on the headset things, what happens is you hook a little computer thing to your side. And when you hook a computer thing to your side, there's a little button that says on or off. So what happened was, thankfully, this very briefly, and thankfully we had a great worship team, but I hit the button on as I'm singing. So you guys can ask my girlfriend in the back. Singing's not my specialty. I got a lot of other gifts. Singing's not one of them. So for about 5 seconds, there was like a dying cat in the gym, and it was not pretty. So today we made sure we got the separate mic to make sure that didn't happen. Okay, so a little bit about me. My name is Kai Barrett. So I graduated from Mooresville High School back in 2019. Who here is at Mooresville? Everyone. Mooresville. Okay, so I graduated from Mooresville in 2019. I went to Grace College and played tennis and ran track there. That is where the Ringers kids go. And then I graduated, and then last year I was a teacher and a coach at Eminence High School, which is over in Morgan County. And then now I am the head strength coach at Owen Valley High School, which is down in Spencer, just west of Bloomington. So a little about my day job, right? So some of you guys are in the weight room every day at Mooresville with Coach Nunn and Coach White. So that's what I do all day, every day. And it is utterly ridiculous that I get paid to do what I do every day. So like I said, I'm literally, how many of you guys are in like the weights class? Okay, a few of you. So it's literally high school athlete recess all day, right? High school athlete recess all day. That's what I get paid to do. And it's pretty sweet. It's a big blessing, and I love it. It is one of my favorite things to do. Also, one of my favorite things to do, like I said, is to be around kids, man. And when I talked to Hunter, and I said, hey, like my big thing right now that I'm graduated, I'm working, I kind of live the boring adult life. My life consists of a lot of disc golf with Hunter, some regular golf, and some pickleball. Outside of that, that's really about it, and then I go to work every day. So these types of things that I get to do, my big goal right now that I've graduated is I want to try to give back to the communities and places that did a lot for me. And this building, now not this room, because we didn't have this room. This room's pretty sweet. We didn't have this. But this church is a place that I would not be where I'm at today without this church. I think it's a lot of the same thing with you guys as well, where you would say, hey, like, a lot of the reason why you are the way you are right now is because of the people here at this church, the people sitting next to you, or the reason why you're at this church, right? And it's something that I want us to just take a brief moment and appreciate, because it's not many places or communities have this. Okay, I can say this for the school I'm at, Owen Valley. We do not have high school Mooresville kids. Raise your hand again. We do not have 50 students that gather together every week and focus on Jesus. Like, that's not a thing. Like, there's some churches down there, and I know there's kids that go to churches, but in terms of a youth group where you have 50 kids you see in the hallway every day, that you also see at practice, and you also see in classes, and you see at lunch, then you come back and you see them at church Sunday, and then you see them again Sunday night. That's a really, really big deal. It's really, really cool as well. And you'll look back after you graduate and be like, you'll realize how big a deal it is. But I want to just take a quick moment that, like, very, very few places, very, very few high schools have what you guys have. And it's really, really cool. Okay, so today we're going to get in some things. So you guys are in this series called Hello, My Name Is, Hello There, My Name Is. And today, our name is uncertainty. Okay, so hello there, our name is uncertainty. So the text that we're going to be in today is in 1 Peter chapter 1. Okay, 1 Peter chapter 1. And as I was preparing for this week, Hunter and I talked on the phone. We talked a few different times, thinking, all right, going through the series, what are some things that we can connect with, right? So I sit there and think, like, okay, just a few years ago, Em and I were both in high school, and it's what are things that you guys go through every single day that really isn't probably talked about enough, right? So we're going to go in 1 Peter, okay, and we're going to read two different types of, what do you call it? What's it called? The writings, like different versions. We're going to read two different versions of 1 Peter, okay? So first thing, 1 Peter chapter 1, verses 3 through 8. Let's go ahead and go. Praise be to the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. In his great mercy, he has given us new birth into a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, and into an inheritance that can never perish, spoil, or fade. This inheritance is kept in heaven for you, who throughout faith are shielded by God's power, until the coming of the salvation that is ready to be revealed in the last time. In all this you greatly rejoice, though now, for a little while, you may have had suffered grief in all kinds of trials. These have come so that you proven genuineness of your faith of greater worth than gold, which perishes, even though refined by fire, may result in praise, glory, and honor, or when Jesus Christ is revealed. Though you have not seen him, you love him. And even though you do not see him now, you believe in him and are filled with an inexpressible and glorious joy. Okay, so we're going to go through now. And when I was in high school, we had, with one of our youth group leaders, we had a Bible study every Wednesday night. So every Wednesday night we'd meet at Brandon Short's coffee shop in downtown Mooresville, and we did this for a few years. And as we were doing a Bible study, I came across, because there's a couple, if you guys have the Bible app, there's a couple different versions of the Bible. So we were through and reading different, the NLT, the NIV, there's a pidgin language as well, a pidgin English. And I came across the ERV version, and I started reading some things out. For this went on for a few weeks. I'm reading things in my youth group. At that time, my youth leader, which is actually Miss Paul's husband, Mr. Jake. And Jake was like, God, man, that's like really good. Where did you come up with this? And I said, it's the ERV version. I said, what's the ERV version? So if you guys find it, it's the easy to read version, is what we're going to go through. So ERV, easy read version, you can find it down the Bible. I'll read through that super quick. Praise be to God and the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. God has great mercy, and because of his mercy, he gave us a new life. This new life brings us a living hope, though Jesus Christ's resurrection from death, or through Jesus Christ's resurrection from death. Now we have to wait to receive the blessings God has for his children. These blessings are kept for you in heaven. They cannot be ruined or be destroyed or lose their beauty. God's power protects you through your faith, and it keeps you safe until your salvation comes. That salvation is ready to be given to you at the end of the time. I know the thought of that is exciting, even if you must suffer through different kinds of troubles for a short time now. These troubles test your faith and prove that it is pure, and such faith is worth more than gold. Gold can be proved to be pure by fire, but gold will ruin. When your faith is proven to be pure, the result will be praise and glory and honor when Christ Jesus comes. You have not seen Christ, but you still love him. You can't see him now, but you believe in him. You are filled with a wonderful and heavenly joy that cannot be explained. Okay, so let's break this down just a little bit. All right, and through this, we're going to use this fancy thing. I'm going to give thanks to Kenzie. Kenzie's my girlfriend, the beautiful one right there in the back of the jean jacket. Okay, so for my birthday this past year, all right, I'm going to have to set the mic down to show this. Okay, so for my birthday this last year, you guys see there's a lot of notes in here. So she went through, and this is the coolest gift I've ever received in my entire life. This is so sweet. So each highlight color is a Bible verse that represents different things. Okay, so we have Bible verses about trust, thankfulness, forgiveness, hope, pain, adversity, relationships, love, and strength. Went through the whole thing. This is sweet. Like, this is the coolest thing ever. And as I was preparing for this week, I opened up and I'm reading through it. And what we're going to notice here is from verse 3 all the way to 8, we are highlighted, starting with yellow, then a green, then a yellow. So the yellow in here, highlighted, means hope. Those are verses that give us hope. And the green is adversity. So what we have here in this section of verses, okay, is we have a little hope sandwich. Okay, so we've got hope, adversity, followed up by hope. So let's go through first in verse 3, right? We have hope because God sent us Jesus, and now we're saved from death. Right? That's our hope. So it starts off a nice little ease your way into this, like, hey, God's got you. Hey, we're good. God sent Jesus. Jesus, hey, we're all good. And then, out of nowhere, flying left hook says, hey, being with this Jesus guy, though, like, life's not easy. Okay, life's tough. So we get followed up in verse 6 and 7. It says we're going to have trials. We're going to have tribulations. We're going to suffer, is what some verses say, right? And when we hear this word suffer, we think, oh, hold up. Right? So that word suffer is like, it's a little extreme. And we think about this, right? So let's kind of break this down. Like, what does suffering mean, right? When we think of suffering, the first thing I think of is someone in a hospital bed that's sick, right? Or I think of someone going through a really, really tough time and their life is miserable, right? Like, that's where we're sitting up like, hey, Jesus paid the ultimate sacrifice for us. He died for us. We're saved. We're chilling now. But, like, because of this, though, too, and when you follow this guy, like life's going to be tough, okay? And when you think about adversity, right, it comes in all different shapes and sizes, okay? So a little bit of a background about me. I'm going to tell you guys 2 different stories here. When I was in college, okay, so I went to college to play tennis at Mooresville High School. And just like a lot of you guys, in high school, I was pretty solid. I was decent at what I did. Okay, so I went to go play college thinking initially like, hey, I'm good here, right? I gotta be good in college, dude. There's no way I'm not. Okay, so I go in at Grace College. We were ranked top 20 in the nation all 4 years, so it was really, really cool. We were a really, really good team. So I come in my freshman year thinking, hey, man, like, I'm playing. Like, my team's good. I may not be number 1, but, like, I'm playing. And so in college tennis, top 6 play. We had 14 on the team. So I was number 7 my freshman year. Okay, so I played number 7. You guys do the math. 7 is more than 6. I didn't play very much. Right, so I'm a little disappointed, so I go in, and so during the off-season, I wasn't happy with how the season went, so I went to the track coach and said, hey, coach, I ran track in high school 1 year. I was not amazing, but like I know I'm fast enough to be like a test dummy for you guys to practice. Can I just come practice with you guys? I want to get stronger, I want to get faster. Let's come practice with you guys. So go to a couple practices, I run. He's like, hey, just want to join the team? I was like, heck yeah, I'm in, let's go. So I run track my freshman year. COVID, that whole thing happens, whatever. Okay, so we'll revisit this time of when COVID hits in just a little bit. Go into my sophomore year. Okay, freshman year's underneath my belt. Hey, let's go now, right? I came to Grace to play tennis, and at least I thought. And come here, sophomore year, play number 7 again. So I'm not playing very much again either. So we go into track season, and during track season, I'm running. And before I continue the story about track, I'm going to give you guys a little rundown of my track career. I was arguably the most mediocre track runner in the history of NAIA athletics. Okay, so what I mean by that is I was like the Swiss Army knife of mid. Like it was, if you threw me in a 100, I'm cooking the distance guys, but you run me against the sprinter, not a chance. I'm getting cooked. But you throw me in 800 against the sprinters, all day. That's all me. And then the mile, I'm not running a mile, no one. Okay, but like I was just super average at everything. Which, for those of you who don't know about college track, like that doesn't help you at all. That does nothing for you actually, because you need to be good at something in order to run. So I was super average at about everything. And so I ran sophomore year. And at this point, like I'm getting a little bit faster, getting a little bit better. So I'm going to go in junior year of tennis. And at this point, we had a couple guys that were top 20 in the nation for individual from the tournaments and stuff. So we were pretty good. So I go in junior year thinking, okay, not another classman anymore, right? Now we go. Now we're gonna play. Now we're gonna do something here. And played number 7 again. I can't make it up. Played number 7 again 3 years in a row. So top 6 play. I played number 7. And I'm like, man, this is like not cool. I thought I came here to play tennis. I'm playing against all the kids that stink. Like, why can't I play in the top 6? It's good guys. So we go to the track season as well. And during this point, my sophomore and junior year, we won back-to-back NCCA championships. So like I said, not because of me, because the guys I ran with were really, really fast. But like, I got to be part of that, so it was kind of really cool. So we go in, so junior year, run track, it was cool. We won our second one, and that was awesome. So then I go in senior year with tennis. Okay, it is my last year, I'm a senior. Like what senior like doesn't play, right? Like, no way, that's not me, no way. And this is where the story gets good. I played number 7 again my senior year. And so I'm sitting here senior year playing against like all the other freshmen from other teams, and it's the most demoralizing thing in my life, I felt like. And so then we go in, and at this point I go into my track season. So now I've been running for 4 years. Track kind of turned into my main sport. Tennis kind of got put on the back burner for a variety of reasons. And so I'm starting to run track now, and now, like with the workouts and things, I'm not gonna say I was like getting good, but I was like way less bad than what I was my first few years. So now we're getting, I'm doing some workouts, got some good times I'm putting down. And our very first meet in December, we're running at the University of Notre Dame. So when we ran in the meet my junior year, we ran at Notre Dame. There was a guy by the name of Gilead Youth Group, who actually, if you would have watched the Olympics this past year, won the bronze medal for the 800. So Gilead Youth Group was there. A couple of our 800 guys ran against him in this 800 race. So we come back senior year, and I get to run at Notre Dame. 2 weeks before I go run at Notre Dame, I get put in a boot because of a deep bone bruise / hairline fracture in my shin. So I'm in a boot, and I don't get to run at Notre Dame. So just when I'm about to get out of the boot, and right before winter break hits, boom, punched in the mouth by COVID. COVID gets me. And it was one of those COVIDs, raise your hand if you ever got like COVID, where it was one of those, I don't know if this ever happened to you guys, but it was like my lungs were shot. So it was one of those like when you're washing the shampoo out of your hair, and it's like trying to breathe, like one of those things. I felt like I was passed out in the shower. Okay, so it like killed my lungs completely out. So then finally, run indoor season, kind of get back into it, and we go in, run a couple indoor meets, things are getting good. So then I get to run at indoor nationals. I get to run the 4x200. So I get to do this partially because a lot of guys were injured on my team, so it's kind of like by default. They had like qualified for it, so then I got to just fill in. So I got to run though at this, and this is like we had a chance to score points, because at this point I'd never like scored points in a meet before, in a college meet. Like I was pumped, right? This is awesome. I ran third leg, so those guys don't know in track, like if you're a third leg runner, sorry, but that's where the slow guys. Like if you're a 4x1 or 4x4, like third leg, that's where the slow guys go. So that's where I went. And so I ran third leg, and I am what I thought was cooking. I am moving, and at this point we're in like 5th at this point, and because I never like ran for anything outside of like the third heat, the slow heat. That's I competed for like first place in the 3rd or 4th heat. So we're in like the fast heat, and we're moving, and 50 meters. I come in indoor track, come off the back turn, and I feel my leg like getting kind of tight. I'm like, it's 200. That's right, my legs just get tight at 200. No big deal. And next thing I know, 50 meters before the race ends, hamstring goes. So I'm like, oh, that's not ideal. So I hobble across the finish line and hand the baton off. And I'm in the most pain I've ever been before in my life. It was the worst thing I've ever experienced. And so at this point, it wasn't torn, but it was a grade 3 strain, which normally takes, especially with sprinting, about a month and a half to 2 months to get back from. So I'm like, that's right where outdoor season kind of ends. Thinking I don't know if I'm gonna get in and get back or not be able to run, because my main event outdoor was 400 hurdles. Like, man, I don't know if I'll be able to run or not this year. So then I talk to the trainer. We go to one meet. I'm like, man, you know, I've got to run. I hear the gun go off once. I'm like, I've got to run. And you just get this feeling, man, I got to go. So I hit the rehab really hard. I hit the training with the trainer all the time. We get it back and going. And about a month later, I get to run again. So this meet we're running at Ball State. I get to run Ball State meet. And this time I get to run the 4x1, which between you and I had no business running that 4x1. However, we were injured, so I got to run the third leg of the 4x1, and I was pumped. Right, so we're running at Ball State. I'm running the 4x1. We're running on Friday. That Thursday, right before we're about to run, we're doing simple 4x1 handoffs. We're doing some practice, some run through stuff, and out of nowhere, I hear like that's really, really weird. Like checking my right one, completely fine. I reach down to tie my shoe, I can't bend my left leg, my hamstring went. And I was like, oh, that's not ideal. That can't be good. So the left one, it's strained. It's only a grade 1 though, so it's only a couple weeks. So at this point, we've got like a month of season left, if that. So I'm thinking, all right, I've got to get back. I've got to be able to run fully in a race. So I didn't get to run that Friday at Ball State. So I get back in time, and I get to run the 4x1 at conference. At our conferences over at Marian University, I get to run the 4x1. And as we're running the race, everything's fine. We get back. I've got like this massive tape around my right leg to like, I can barely move it. But made it through the race. We finished 4th, scored a few points. It was awesome. So then we go in, I run an outdoor nationals, right? So in outdoor nationals, we do our pre-meet the day before. Everything's feeling really, really good. I've got my leg wrapped up in a cast pretty much. And I get to run at outdoor. And at this point, we'd already won 2 in a row. So we were going for our third in a row. And as I'm running, right, I'm running 3rd leg, I'm on the turn, and I am flying. So my dad took a video. They're standing at the turn, they're watching me. My parents drove all the way to South Carolina to watch me run for like 11 seconds. How sick is that? That's pretty sweet, right? So super, like I said, they're awesome, but they drove all the way down to watch me run for 11 seconds. Now, as we get on, we realize they got to watch a little bit more than 11 seconds because 10 meters left in the race, right, just shredded in half, had to be. And so we were seeded to be 5th. We did not finish 5th because homeboy Kai ripped his hamstring in half. But this entire time, right, I'm sitting there thinking, it's my senior year, I didn't get to run the race, right, and this uncertainty keeps hitting, right? So some of you guys who are athletes, some of you guys aren't athletes, we're thinking, this is not really a big deal, right? So this uncertainty hits, and we're thinking, man, like, how, why me, right? Like, my whole life has been sports, everything's been sports my entire life, right? And now I finally get to go do it. I finally worked up to be decent enough to be able to compete at this level, and every single time I'm trying to compete, just taken away from me. And I remember sitting there, and I had a few conversations with Chad about this as well. It's like, man, like how does this keep happening to me, right? And I got to learn very, very quickly, kind of the hard way. So hopefully you guys can learn this before you have to learn the hard way, right? But like life is bigger than sports. So throughout this time, there are a few things I got to learn because this uncertainty that kept flowing in my head, like, God, there's no way, like, this is what I came to Grace College to do. This is what I was designed to do. I get to do all this. I get to compete at a high level, and you keep taking away from me. What are you doing, man? Like, what are you doing? Right? So this for creates this doubt, and the doubt begins to question. Right, so we ask these questions, and for me, and this might be different for you, but for me it was never this, man, like, is God even real? Or does God even exist? Or like, it was never one of those. But it was the, okay, if this is going to happen to me, then like, not a big deal if I go out and do this. Right? It was the, hey God, like I know you exist, and I know you've been good because you've been good to me a lot, and you've been with me this whole way, and you've done too many things for me to not believe in you. But like, there's some things I'm not happy about. So in this moment, right, like you just kind of chill out. I'm gonna do my thing, and like I'll revisit you in a little bit, right? And I think that's the thing that when I remember being in high school the most, and talking to a couple of high school buddies as I told them I was coming up here to speak today, right? And we talked about like, hey man, in high school, what was the biggest thing we struggled with, right? And it was that consistency of every single time, whether it's good or bad, saying, hey, God, like, thank you for this, and let me continue to pursue you, right? You guys would go to CIY, I was there this past year, it was awesome, right? It's really, really easy to praise God and be thankful for God and focus on God and talk to others about God when you're surrounded by nothing but God, right? And now we all leave. We leave CIY. We're back in the hallways of school. We're back maybe with some of our buddies who aren't CIY people, right? We're around our teams. We're around situations that get frustrating. And it's very, very easy to take that mindset and just be like, hey, you know what, God, like, I'll be back on Sunday, right? I'll stop by Sunday again. Okay, and the uncertainty that continues to hit us, right, is something that, like, maybe just for me, I'll speak from my experience, is very easy to dictate every single thing about my life, right? So it's like, hey, God, like, I got that grade on my test, not getting up playing in time, we were doing this performance, and I messed up, and now I feel super embarrassed. Or, hey, God, we got these family issues going on. Hey, like, we got this. Like, hey, you know what? I'm not saying I don't think you exist, and I'm not saying I don't think you love me, but I am saying that, like, right now I'm a little bit just like, I just want to kind of take a step back and not be next to you, right? So I'm going to pursue all the things that I know I probably shouldn't, right? The videos that we watch, the things we do, the things we drink, okay? The things we say, right? And we don't need to get super in descriptive with what I'm talking about, but, like, we understand that as high schoolers, okay, that's where it goes to. It's a really, really easy coping mechanism because it's so easy to just sit there and handle it that way rather than say, like, hey, God, what can I learn from this? Right? So when we hit this uncertainty, there's two things that we want to understand. One, like, it's okay. It's okay to be uncertain. But I would even argue that it is a really, really good thing to be uncertain. Okay? It is a really, really good thing to be uncertain and start asking questions. Okay? I'm going to say this one more time. All right? It is very, very good to be uncertain and ask questions. Okay? And we're going to get back to that, so keep that in your note. If you wrote it down, or just put it in the memory bank, and we'll revisit this. Okay, so I'm going to tell this story, right? When I told you guys when COVID hit, okay, that we were going to revisit this story. So we all remember that time. What grade were you guys in when COVID hit? 7, 6, 6. So we were all 4. Wow. Okay. So us, maybe girls, I want to seclude you from this, but us guys, right? COVID hits, and we're thinking, boys hop on Fortnite, running blocks. Let's not drinking nights, right? That was all day. All day. That's what it was. That's what we did all day, every day. And you guys got to do it way more than I did because I was in college. So, like, I still had to do this thing called work. So you guys all got to play Fortnite and be like, Mom, where are my chicken nuggets at? They're not ready yet. And then girls were probably what? Binge watching Grey's Anatomy? There it is, right? So COVID hits, and we all get the same alert, whether you're in elementary school, high school, college, or at work. Okay, is we get this notification of, hey, we're going home for 2 weeks. So I'm thinking, 2-week vacation, let's go. School's online, right? I don't have to pay attention, right? I can do whatever, I can sleep in. Everything's great. But I was most excited to go home for 2 weeks because at this point, when this happened, about a month prior to that, my dad was diagnosed with stage 4 squamous carcinoma cell cancer, which is in the basis throat. Okay, so I was excited for the 2 weeks because I knew I got to go home and see him, right? I hadn't been able to go home in a while, and because of weekends, having to run track. So I got to go home, and I said, I got 2 weeks. Now, it was way longer than 2 weeks, but I got to spend 2 weeks with my family and be with him because I hadn't seen him in a while. And now a little backstory about my family. Like I said, my family, my grandparents, my mom and dad, my sister, they all traveled 9 hours to go watch me run for 11 seconds, right? Like, my parents have been there, my dad, my mom, everyone has been there, like, since day one. So a little backstory about my dad is since the day, like I said, the day I grew up, from the moment I could walk, I had a ball in my hands, and I was playing sports. Football, basketball, baseball, golf, tennis, track, swimming, soccer, whatever it was, like golf, I was playing it all. Okay, so my dad was always the one, always taking me to practices. Whenever I played baseball, hitting off the tee and grabbing the ball, like hitting ground balls to me, rebounding for me when I was shooting. When I played tennis and I had lessons and stuff, he'd pick up balls and I'd just go to his courts and practice serving. Just pick up the balls, like would toss to me, like always there. Okay, so when I first hear the news after I got the test, and I remember the phone call very vividly on my bus ride home from Grand Valley State after track meet, where he called me and said, hey, this is what doctor said, this is what we're doing. And I remember on that bus ride home, man, I remember like it was yesterday, breaking down in tears and immediately asking the questions like, how? Why? Like, God, are you kidding me? Like, how? Right? And it wasn't this like, God, I don't think you love me. It wasn't this, I don't think you aren't going to be good. But it's the uncertainty of, okay, my dad just got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. What's happening? Right? What's going on? Well, is he going to live? Is he going to die? Are we going to be okay? Is this going to happen? How are we going to afford this? How's this going to happen? We got the world shutting down. The uncertainty is spinning everywhere. Right? So we get sent home, and I get to go to his first chemo treatment with him. So we sit there. It was on a Tuesday. I get to go sit with him for a few hours, and we get to hang out there, and it was awesome. That Wednesday is when everything shut down. So I got to spend the one chemo treatment. After that, he had to go to the chemo treatments by himself. Right? So during this moment, okay, so I'm having to work. So I work construction with my uncle, building decks and stuff. And so I would wake up in the morning. I'd do my track running workout before it got too hot. Then I would go to work. Then I'd come home. I'd do my lifting workout. And my mom's a teacher, so she would kind of take care of him during the day. And then I was on like night duty. Okay, so I would kind of sleep. Sometimes sleep on the couch because he had a room in our dining room. Because of the radiation, couldn't be in my mom's room. So he would be in there, so I kind of help him during the night. And I remember one night, like, I'll never remember anything else like this. Okay, I remember one night sleeping on the couch, and I remember him getting up and him going to the bathroom and just screaming in pain, right? Puking up blood, screaming in pain. And I remember sitting there, and he screamed like, just get this out of me. Like, just get it out of me. And I remember sitting there thinking, like, man, I would do anything in the world to take that from him right now. I would do anything in the world to take that pain, bring it onto my body, and just take it away from him. Because he had been suffering for a while. And at this moment, right, as he's going through the treatments, it was never anything of a question of survival rate, right? It was never, thankfully, anything like that. But there was some success rate questions and some other things we had to deal with. And knowing the amount of pain of the radiation and chemo that comes to the head and neck area is very, very tough on the body. Okay, so the uncertainty across the board, and I'm going to salute my mom for never, ever once, okay, making us kids, and when I was a freshman in college, or my sister who was still in high school, ever once feeling like things weren't going to be okay. Right? And I think that's really awesome. And I think it's a testament to her faith of knowing that in the worst moments of her life, seeing her husband and my dad, okay, suffering, never once wavering of the uncertainty of if things are going to be okay. And never once allowing, she might have been feeling it every single day like we were, okay, but never once showing us, right, that things might not be okay. Right? So what would happen is every single morning I'd get up and I'd leave, and right before I would leave, where our front door is, we have our kitchen and our dining room. That's why we had a bed in the dining room for where my dad was at. Every single morning when I'd get up and I'd go leave to go run, the last thing I would see was him. Right? So he'd be sleeping. It'd normally be 5:45, 6:30 in the morning when I'd leave, depending on when I had to get to work. And I'd see him right before I left. And I remember every single day before I leave thinking to myself, I will never, ever, ever take advantage of an opportunity to be able to compete or run or do anything ever again. Right? How many guys who play sports or have your band or have your choir or do anything that requires practice? We have to show up to a practice. Right? About all of us. Okay? Raise your hand if you've ever just felt like, you know what, man, I'd rather be at home watching Netflix. I'd rather just be anywhere but at that practice. Right? And every single one of you have your hands raised. Okay? But I made a decision right there when I saw my dad going through what he's going through, and I said, I will never, ever, ever have that mindset ever again going into practice, because I know for a fact that my dad would do anything in his world to be going out and going on that run with me, or whenever I come lift to do that lift with me. But he physically couldn't. So I watched something physically get taken away from someone that they wish they had, right? So I sat there and said, hey man, God got a lot of blessings. Okay, put things in perspective for me. Right? So as much as there was uncertainty going on, there were so many questions, there's so much doubt, there's so much like, hey, God, are you going to take care of this? Like, God, what happens? How do I handle this if you take my dad away from me? How am I going to handle this? Right? That thought's popping through my head, things are spinning. Okay? But through this entire time, the consistency was me realizing hey, God, I got a lot to be thankful for. Right? So every time the uncertainty comes in, it's like, hey, God, are you good? Hey, God, is this happening? Hey, God, how are we going to handle this? What if this? What if this? And the doubt and fear starts creeping in, right? It was immediately followed by, what do we have right now? Right? So throughout that time, like, man, God, how'd you do this to my dad? Immediately shine the light on every time I left and I'd leave to go work out. Be like, hey, God, like, thank you today for giving me the ability to walk. Thank you for giving me the ability to be able to go run. Thank you for the ability to go to work. Thank you for my car that I get to go to work. Thank you for my family, my mom, everything, right? So there's so many things what I want you to think about now, right? If you think, whether you're in a situation with your family, you might not have a lot of money, you might have things going on, right? I'll tell you this much, I tell my athletes this every single day, or every single week when we talk about things, okay, my athletes at Owen Valley. Where a lot of kids, right, come in not motivated, hey, coach, I'm not feeling it today. So are sick kids. You know, how many people in the world wish, there are a lot of people in the world that would do anything in the world to be exactly where you're at. To have the shirt you're wearing, have the shoes you're wearing, have the legs, you get to walk, to have the ability to come here on Sunday nights and worship, to have the phone that you have, okay? There's a lot of things that we are blessed and we're thankful for, right, that we have. Okay, and that's where any time, right, the uncertainty creeps in, we've got to go back to our foundation, right? Okay, hey God, what do we have? What have you given me? What have you blessed me with? Right? And every single time, that foundation of blessing and certainty amongst the uncertainty is what helped diminish the questions that I had. Right? Hey, God, are you good? Are you loving? Well, I don't know, Kai. Let's look back at every single thing He's done for you. Right? Provided the shoes, provided the clothes, provided my family, provided the legs that I walk with, the education, right? The list goes on and on and on and on and on. And then when one thing doesn't go my way, I sit there and be like, man, God, how dare you? How dare you do that to me? Right? We say, God, how dare you? And maybe it's not even God's. Maybe it's to your parents. Oh, Dad, how dare you? How dare you take my phone away? How dare you tell me not to do this? How dare you tell me? Really? And we sit there and say, like, hey, we automatically think, right, that we know better. And what I want us to do, right, so we look at, right, and I'll close it out. My dad's healthy now. He's in remission. Everything's good. Okay, but there are a lot of things, right, that we learned through that. And there were things that were tough, things that weren't easy. Okay? But the uncertainty, guys, if we think your uncertainty is tough now, wait till real life hits you in the face. And some of you guys have real life right now. Some of you guys got real life problems going on at home. Okay? You guys do have that. Right? But what I want us to understand, okay, is that, once again, we're blessed in so many ways. All right, but the reality is, okay, the doubts or the questions or the uncertainty that we have are very, very good for one reason. Okay? I'm going to ask you guys a question. I want you guys to answer this. How do you learn? How do you learn? Well, no, just in general, like in a classroom. How do you learn? Huh? You make mistakes and then you learn the hard way. Someone teaches you. Solving problems. Okay? Yeah.
By just listening.
Listening. Okay, all these things are about one thing, right? When you guys take a test, what does the test ask you?
Questions.
Questions, right? So in order to learn on a test, right, we have to answer questions. Okay, so in the same way, right, if we want to learn in our faith, if we want to learn in math class, if we want to learn anything, right, you got to ask questions. Right? It's pretty simple. You ask questions, you're going to learn. Okay? But the other reason that we're going to tie into here is those of you who are in the weight room, how do we get stronger?
Heavy weight.
Push every weight up, right? Consistently push heavy weight up. Okay, so I'm going to tie this in here, and I think you're starting to see what I'm saying. If you guys, how many of you guys know someone in your life, not that physically, but it's like, hey, they are a strong human being, not just muscles. Okay? What I want you to do tonight, if you know them, okay, go ask them why they're so strong. And some of you guys might know why they're strong. Okay, but there's one common thing that is similar between physically strong people, spiritually strong people, or mentally strong people. And they consistently practice pushing heavy things off of them. Right? So when we have the questions and we have the doubt, we have these tough things come at us, right? We have this uncertainty. Is it a really, really good thing Because the only way that we get stronger in our faith is to practice pushing heavy things up and using God as our spotter. Okay? To make sure we practice pushing heavy things up, all right, and consistently do that. Because when you practice pushing heavy things off of you, you're going to look back and be like, man, I'm a lot stronger than I was, right? But just in the weight room, and I say the same thing to my kids all the time, you're never going to get stronger if you just lift light weight all the time. Okay? You'll never get stronger when you're lifting light weight all the time, right? Some of you guys, some of me heads, Dorian, sorry, I didn't mean to call you out like that, right? We love curls. Do we think Dorian gets big arms by doing curls with 10 pounds all the time? Okay, fair enough. Right? No, okay? We got to do heavyweight. Right? So the thing I want to tie this in is it's a really, really good thing to ask questions. Because when we ask questions, that means we have a desire to learn. When we ask questions, it means we have a desire to learn. And the biggest thing and the biggest mistake we can do in our faith, just like the same thing in the classroom, is to stop asking questions. And to stop sitting there thinking like, you know what, man? I don't know this or I don't like this. I'm just going to shut it down and step away. Right? Because that means we stopped. It means we quit. Okay, so it is a very, very good thing to ask questions because it shows that you care and it shows that you have a desire to learn. And one thing I love about all this, and the same thing with youth group guys, is one, you guys are here, and that shows you care. Whether you're just like I was at the beginning of my freshman year when I was in high school, and it was like, hey, mom and dad, I'd rather watch football at 4 o'clock, and you're making me go to youth group. I don't think I'm not feeling very good. And every day I'm thankful for this, my parents all say, you're going. Right? But then it came into the discipline, right? We come to youth group every Sunday because that's just what we do. Right? Because you want to have desire. So I'm thankful and I'm so happy to see so many people here. Right? And if you're ever going through a phase, right, if you guys look around, if you're leaders and the adults in the room, but I also want you to look at the friends sitting next to you. When you have questions or you have doubt or you have uncertainty, those are the people you go to. Because they are in the same boat that you are on every Sunday night, and that is coming here and having a desire to learn and grow closer to God. And that is something that is the coolest thing ever. And as you guys move on, you go to college, and you're not around this every single Sunday, right? You'll look back and be like, hey, this is really, really awesome. So don't take this for granted, okay? Be appreciative of this and continue to have fun, continue to show up. Right, so thank you guys for coming in today. Thank you for being here. Continue to be here. All right, we're going to pray and then be band, and we're going to listen to Matt's beautiful voice again. All right, let's pray. Dear God, thank you for this day. Thank you for this time. Thank you for blessing us, God. There's so many things you bless us with that we often take for granted. God, please allow us to continue to ask questions and understand that, hey, if we aren't feeling as strong or we have these questions or concerns, that, hey, that is okay to express that, and that is okay and a good thing to continue to grow closer to you, God. Thank you for sending your son, and thank you for giving us the hope that wakes us up in the day and gets us through the week. God, thank you for these kids. Allow them to continue to grow closer to you tonight and closer together. It's in your prayer. Amen.